My se teďkonc nacházíme v nemocnici Pembroke. A koukám, máme se setkat s Edgarem Swansehem. Budíš?
God protect us. You've got a leech in the hospital.
Yes, my hospital. My mission is to heal while you go about warring.
You've set the table for a snake. I wonder why there's venom in your food.
I'm growing tired of your song. You're a woodsman, McCallum, not a doctor. Return to your hunt.
Remember, I've a good nose for machinations. I can flare the scent at a mile. You can't hide from the god.
Leave him, Jonathan. This is sacred ground. Neutral territory. And I just had the carpet cleaned. By the sacred stole, this is very bad news. Bad news indeed.
Lovec přímo v nemocnici, jo? To není pěkný a zrovna nás tady vyčmáhnul.
What happened?
The hospital has been attacked. We have injured patients, at least one dead and several missing. This has spiraled out of control. Even the most infirm are asking to be allowed to return home.
We cannot have the people lose faith in this institution. This hospital is their only hope.
Of course, you're right. But we cannot afford a public scandal. It would ruin us. We must restore order, and quickly.
You mentioned a dead patient. Who is he?
She, Jonathan. She was Miss Harriet Jones. I found her room like a slaughterhouse. Blood everywhere. The duty nurse is taking care of the mess.
Very well. I'll help you.
I know this place means something to you. I have noticed how you suppress your appetite when around the staff and patients.
You need to know you can trust me, Edgar.
I do, dear fellow, I do.
Please then, tell me.
Sean Hampton, the man we thought we'd saved at the docks. It seems he was infected after all.
So Hampton became more beast than man.
Exactly. And now Guard of Prewen suspects the hospital of vampire activity. Do you realize what that could mean for us?
Rest assured, I will protect you and your staff.
McCallum is a fanatic. The Guard will stop at nothing. You don't know what they're capable of, Jonathan.
Very well. Since I brought Mr. Hampton here, I will put an end to this.
Smutný světec z East Endu. V přístavu East End najděte Seana Hamptona.
If you don't mind, I have a few questions.
I'd be delighted to help you if I'm able.
I just recently met the strangest creature in Whitechapel. He was immense. He mocked me and accused me of hypocrisy.
Perhaps it was a skull. London's streets are overflowing with them these days.
It was a vampire, all right. But what kind, I'm not sure. He was large and very fast.
If you find anything more about this creature, the Brotherhood would greatly appreciate any information you could spare.
He was observing me with the obvious intent to do me harm. His very presence evoked a palpable sense of menace.
You need to be careful, Jonathan. You've no idea what this creature really is.
I recently tried to enter a church. It has been a very unpleasant experience.
The Brotherhood's research on the matter of faith and vampirism has proved somewhat insubstantial, to say the least.
Is this proof that I'm cursed in the eyes of the divine?
The wrath of the Almighty? There's no way of knowing. It could be subconscious guilt, or irrational fear, or deep-seated beliefs.
It's hard to explain in terms of science, that's for sure.
I'm sure Lady Ashbury will have far greater insight into this matter than little old me.
What exactly happened here while I was absent?
Hampton turned, quite violently as it happened. Lurking about, attacked Miss Jones. To say he created quite a commotion would be an understatement.
Are you sure it was Hampton that killed Miss Jones?
There was blood everywhere, but no body. And you know the state she was in. I fear for what he did with her. Hopefully he just hid the corpse.
How did the Guard of Prewin come to hear of this?
McCullum has spies everywhere. He will jump at any opportunity to disparage the Brotherhood and show his contempt.
Who was that man in your office?
Geoffrey McCullum, actual leader of the Guard of Prewin. I suspect he's the man behind the rebirth of this old and dusty society.
They know I'm here now, don't they?
I can guarantee one thing. The Guard of Prewin would never dare to attack the hospital while I'm in charge here.
What do they hope to achieve?
Their ultimate goal is the eradication of all vampires in the country. They see you as a threat to mankind, Jonathan.
Thank you, Edgar.
Toť vše k příběhu.
Sean Hampton lives and breathes for the well-being of his flock. There's no other place he would go but the docks.
Přístav. Dobrá. Takže nás teda čeká přístaviště. V nemocnici Pembroke máme všechno hotový. Whitechapel. Tady je to neznámý. Najdět někoho, kdo umí číst Braillovo písmo. Jakou máme vůbec sílu mysli? 2. To je nic moc teda. Tady máme vykřičník, což bude pravděpodobně Lady Ashbury. Tak s ní ještě zkusíme pokecat a... asi se vydáme do toho přístavu. Otázka je, jestli to zvládnu na té 7, si nebude potřeba už menší upgrade naší postavy, ale...
Good evening, Mr. L.
Evening, Doc.
Can you tell me anything about recent events at the hospital?
Before the shouts and the noises, I think I heard whispers coming from the stairs. 2 voices, maybe more.
Did you recognize the voices? What did they say?
I couldn't hear. Sounded like they were arguing or something.
Goodbye for now.
Fear and disgust on every street.
What on earth happened here?
Tady je to teda pořádně zrichtovaný. Ale nic tu nenajdu.
Good evening, Nurse Brannigan.
Good evening, Doctor.
What can you tell me about the recent events in the hospital?
That Mr. Hampton killed Miss Jones in her room, then ran away.
And did you see all this?
No. I was working by the tents when it all happened. I only entered the room when they asked me to clean up the blood.
Where is Miss Jones's body?
I don't know. I'd imagine the morgue. It all happened so quickly.
Did you see Sean Hampton leave the hospital?
I think I saw a silhouette exiting the hospital gates after the shouting started. At first I thought it was someone who was just scared, but... well, maybe it was him.
Goodbye, nurse. Call me if you need assistance. Good evening, Miss Howcroft.
I need blood, Doctor.
Ta potřebuje furt jenom krev.
Is there anything you can tell me about the recent commotion here?
Many things can happen under cover of night, Dr. Reed. But I took no part in this massacre.
But did you see or hear anything?
I can't say I did. But the smell of fresh blood almost made me faint, Doctor.
I'll leave you, mistress of the...
I'm quite busy.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
Nothing like this would have happened if we'd had enough staff and proper shifts.
So you don't think the blame is ours?
We all hold fast here, Dr. Reed. Our methods may differ, but we are all trying to make a difference.
Thank...
Děkuji, děkuji.
Good evening, Dr. Strickland.
And good evening.
Can you tell me anything about the recent commotion in the hospital?
I'm sure it was not your fault, Dr. Reed.
My fault? What do you mean?
Oh, nothing. It's just... I heard it was you who brought the murderer inside our walls. But you couldn't know, could you?
Goodbye, Doctor.
Tak to jsem nemohl, že jo, samozřejmě.
Good evening, Mr. Fiddick.
Good evening, Dr. Reed. Any news about my operation?
Please, tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital.
I heard Miss Jones call for help from her bedroom. There were some loud noises, like people fighting. All of a sudden, it went quiet. And then a nurse started screaming.
Do you know who the nurse was?
Not sure, but I think it was Nurse Hawkins.
Goodbye for now.
Tady pak máme slečnu Hawkinsovou. To až potom, ještě zaběhneme tady za Mortimerem.
Good evening, Mr. Goswick. How are you?
I'm okay.
Tady asi jiná zjištění nebudou.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
I had shouting coming from the first floor. I was asleep when it started.
I have to go.
Good evening, sir. Doctor.
Good evening.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
It's a disgrace. How on earth can patients be attacked in their own rooms?
Goodbye, Mrs.
Calm the children, Helen. As for me...
Tak, tady je Pippa Hawkinsová. Ještě pak je tam Rakesh.
Good evening, Nurse Hawkins.
Good evening.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
Everybody's afraid. Death has always been a frequent visitor. But murder? How can we cope with that?
As a nurse at this hospital, it is your duty to deal with these things as best you can.
Yeah. Until it's my turn to have blood spread all over the walls. I entered the room first, Dr. Reed. I've seen what that monster did to the woman.
Goodbye, now.
Rakeshi.
Good evening, Doc. Can you tell me anything about recent events in the hospital?
Oh, goodness me. This whole story is such a shame, sir. I have no idea how it happened.
What are you talking about?
Poor Miss Jones. Her body is missing. Someone stole it.
Aha.
Miss Jones's body has gone missing?
Yes. The body was brought here this morning. And now it's gone.
Who could have stolen a corpse?
That's exactly what I asked myself for the whole day. Who could do such a thing? These are terrible and shameful times, Dr. Reed.
Please show me.
Of course.
Mrknem, co má, nic, co bych chtěl. No a jinak jsem asi snad pokecal, no nepokecal vlastně ještě Pipec, který je venku. Elwood, telmičku máme. Jo, a Lady Ashbury, samozřejmě ještě. A pak je tady ten Milton. A ještě Clay.
Good evening, Milton.
Good evening.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
Someone killed Miss Jones in her room, and Mr. Hampton's gone missing. Doesn't take a genius to piece it together.
You don't seem shocked by any of this.
Why should I be? Whoever did this must be long gone by now. And besides, You got rid of the old bag.
Goodbye. Good evening, Dr. Tippett.
Doctor...
Can you tell me anything about the recent commotion in the hospital?
It's a tragedy, pure and simple. The hospital is meant to be a safe haven to all. We failed the people who trusted us with their care.
Do you think I should not have brought Mr. Hampton back here?
It's not your fault. You rescued that poor soul. It was the Christian thing to do. But we should have noticed his instability.
Goodbye, Dr. Tippett.
Hey, Doc.
Hi, Doc.
What can you tell me about the recent commotion in the hospital?
All I know is I ain't letting anyone rip my throat out in my sleep. I found myself a nice play, Doc. I'm ready.
Spíš jsem ti ho našel já.
I'll leave you.
Tak, hurá za Lady Ashbury, ta nám snad řekne něco víc. Jsou pořádný jatka.
Oh, Jonathan, I cannot believe my eyes. Poor woman, butchered by some savage scalp.
Můžeme se o jídlo podělit. Ježiši.
Yes, and I'm afraid I'm at least partially responsible. The man, the Scal, I brought him here.
Jonathan, how could you say such a thing?
Forgive me if I feel despondent, for there seems to be no end to the suffering and death that surrounds us.
I'm always here for you, Jonathan.
What do you know of Ascalon? I was threatened by a creature, a vampire in Whitechapel, stating I had to obey the law of conduct.
What more can you tell me about him?
He was bigger than a man. Huge, in fact. He seemed to radiate violence. I thought he was going to tear me apart. Then he vanished.
Fergal, the executioner of Ascalon. You were fortunate he was not after you, but rather out doing his master's bidding.
What is Ascalon?
The Ascalon Club are the most powerful vampires in Britain and exert tremendous influence. Take my advice and stay well away.
Have you embraced this woman, like the other patient, this Mr. Renfield?
Her name was Amelia. And no, I did not kill her. I vowed a very long time ago that I would never take another life, unless they ask.
Is there sufficient vitality in the blood of the sick and dying patients?
Yes, Jonathan. The hunger gnaws at me every waking hour. Frankly, I'm starving.
Temptation surrounds us. Rich, vital. How can you resist?
Over the years, any pleasure I once gleaned from feeding is long gone. I drink for sustenance. And though I still thirst for more, I restrain myself.
I have experienced a certain difficulty when faced with holy symbols or trying to enter religious buildings. Have you?
Now that's quite a question. I don't know why, but yes, it has happened to me.
Is this a sign? The hand of God in action? Are we repellent unto heaven?
I don't have the answers, Jonathan. But I believe superstition and magic is just fact awaiting the lens of science.
Aren't you frightened?
Very little scares me, my dear. To be compelled to avoid symbols of faith does not concern me.
Thank you, my lady. I hope to see you again soon.
Dobrá. V tom případě se asi vydáme do přístavu. Skoncujte se s divočelým Seanem Hamptonem. Myslím, že jsme pokecali se všema, krom tady toho dole, to mě ještě nenapadlo. Pokud se tu stále nachází. Není tady, tak šel asi někam na procházku. To je mně jedno. Jejda. Musím si dát pozor. Přesně na tohle si musím dát pozor. Si tady musím uvědomit, že nejsou 50 ze streamu a že se nemůžu takhle vrhat do nebezpečí. Hlava nehlava. Na druhou stranu si říkám, jestli není správný čas, abych se už malinko zase vylepšil. Máme 8200 expů. Že bych ještě skočil třeba do úkrytu? Jako teoreticky bych mohl. Stejně musím jít doleva přes tyhle ty opičáky, takže těm se prostě nevyhnu. Jak se tamhle ten dostal až ke mně? No, jako... Zatím bych to mohl zkusit bez toho, ale... Uvidíme, kam se dostaneme, když už to bude fakt jako nesnesitelný. To je neřád. Čili kde máme ten jeho barák? Tady, že jo? Mortimerův bejváček. Zároveň jako skrýš.
It's locked, all right.
Samozřejmě zavří, no jak jinak. A tady jsou víc vzadu. Ne, díky, nemám zájem. Nazdar, knězi. Ale každopádně ještě podívám se ke crafting tableu, jestli třeba nemůžu vylepšit zbraň. Recyklovat nemůžu nic. Ne, chybí mi dobrá součást úchytu, 3krát. Dobře. Pokračujeme tedy dál. Whitechapel máme relativně v cajku. Tak, značku odeberu a musím jít doleva. Ano. Sedmnáctka, 16. Dobrá. To byl nepříjemný. No tak tohle ne, jako. Ty musíš jít frajere. Cože? Ten mě napíchnul. No, nedal jsem si na něj pozor a on na mě udělal ten charge takovej, který oni dělají, no. Hejte se, ono jakoby dát další noc ve výsledku nevadí, že jo? Akorát potom musíte víc léčit obyvatele. A já si myslím, že se upgradenem malinko. Ať se netrápíme, jako 7. Stejně, podle mě v přístavu už budou silnější potvory. Takže to bude potřeba. V tom případě určitě dáme autofága. No, stejně víc nemáme. To se nám odemče až na 12. úrovni, takže postupně jak teď budu odemykat. 2x fyzickou. Nebudu to zase přehánět, jo. Jako drápy si dáme určitě. 11. Kousnutí. Ať dělá nějakou damage. Drápy se nám upgradely. Jo, jenže na to potřebuji 3000 expů. Nemáme. Kapacita krve. Důležitá věc. Toho bych se asi vůbec jako nebál. A možná bych si trošku boostl a i tělo. Že zdraví. 600, jo. Zdraví je potřeba. Tak, přijmeme to. Jsme zase o malinko silnější. Hlavní událost ve čtvrti. Každou noc mohou vaše rozhodnutí zlepšit nebo zhoršit zdravotní stav dané čtvrti. Tento může být snížen také rozmachem chorob mezi občany. Čím více životů zničíte, tím méně zdravá se čtvrť stane. Klesne-li zdraví ve čtvrti pod kritickou mez, propukne chaos. Marné policejní razie ve Whitechapelu. Vy si to můžete přečíst. Já to přepnu a ceny a výběr zboží u obchodníků v této čtvrti se mohly změnit. Dobře. Koukám, Bates je nachlazený, Benjamin je na tom furt stejně a zbytek je vyléčený. Pembroke. Nádhera. Akorát Oswald by se tam už měl ukázat. Ten má bolest hlavy. To bychom ho pak doléčili a tady je cápek unavený. No a co se týče West Endu, tak nemám tušáka. No vidíte, ty 16 už jsou žlutý, což znamená, že už bychom to měli mít mnohem snazší. Celkově by nám neměli dávat takovou damáž. Ale potřebuju krev. Dvě kousnutí a mám toho docela dost. Nádhera. Takže hurá do přístavu. Jo, jsem rychlej. Tak to vememe vrchem. Heleme se. Šilinky a ředěná krev běžců. Vysá to takhle ve vzduchu. Zajímavé. Tak, pojď. Co tohle mělo být? Nejdu vyloženě tam, kam bych měl jít, ale... Moje návštěva zde má své důvody. No, Brailovo písmo. Výborně. A potom záchrana občana. Jo, ty jsi 19, jo? Ups. Nebo spíš byla.
Are you all right, sir? What are you doing in a place like this?
I'm not sure that's any of your business.
I hope you realize that staying here will put your life at great risk.
Pah! I'm not afraid of these guards of Priwen, or whatever these thugs call themselves. I can still kick some respect into those youngsters.
I wasn't specifically referring to them, but are you really after these men? Why?
They took my boy! I've had no news since he joined that crazy gang. So I decided to come and find him myself, to get some answers.
I see.
Archer Woodbeat. Archer nemá o svém synovi zprávy od té doby, co se Andrew přidal k privenské stráži.
As I said, your life is at risk if you stay here. And I'm not referring to the gangs either. You should leave, sir.
Well, this part of town used to be nicer, let's say. Perhaps you're right. This isn't the best way to save Andrew.
Vyšetřování úspěšné, stará můra dobré mravy. Vlezu teda dovnitř. Malinko si to tady prohlídneme, polutíme. Tak, tady už nic nenajdu. No, nějaký tuhej cápek. Krvavý dopis, drahá matko. Ať už se mi stane cokoliv, pamatuj si, že tě tvůj syn miloval. Vím, že ne vždy jsi souhlasila se způsobem, jakým jsem nakládá se svým životem, ale nezměním se. V téhle části města jsem se narodila a vyrostla, nemůžu se dívat na to, co se s ní děje. Nedávno jsem učinil příšerné rozhodnutí a rozhodl jsem se vrátit úder tyranii. Vím, že přijde odplata, ale jsem na ní připraven, ať bude jakákoliv. Jen díky tobě jsem tak miloval četbu. A teď, když hodlám přejít k činům, mohu jen citovat Etienne de la Boutier, nebo jak se to čte. Velcí se zdají být jen proto, že my jsme na kolenou. Matko, já už nechci klečet, mám v úmyslu tomu čelit za jakoukoliv cenu. S Bohem, má milovaná matko, Jack.
There is a name engraved under the blood on the back of the...
Jack Gillingham. Enidin syn Jack byl zabit.
Case. Jack Gillingham. Maybe I should return this watch to his family.
A nějaký hodinky, který bych měl pravděpodobně vrátit. Počkat, co bylo tady. To už mám lootnutý. Super. Takže tuhletu část máme, frajer se teda vrátí a já se teda vydám do toho přístavu, konečně. Cesta byla dlouhá a strastiplná, nicméně... jdu dobře? Nejdu dobře, musím sem. Nicméně jsem tu. Přístav v Limmelhouse. Stav čtvrti stabilní. No a někde tady bych měl najít Seana Hamptona. Některý lidi známe, protože tady máme prostě ze začátku hry. Ale pravděpodobně budu muset najít zbytek občanů, jsou tady nějací neznámí a to si necháme na příští díl. Pro dnešní je to všecko. Tímto se s vámi loučím, u dalšího pokračování Vampyra se budu těšit. Čau.